This weekend is the most popular weekend in all of the calendar year for fantasy drafts, Keegan Thompson. And it's a special time. It is peak fantasy football season. Feels kind of like Christmas for us D-Gens. We've been talking fantasy basically all year. Dynasty in February, NFL draft in April, best ball in June. But we are here. We've made it through the appetizers, and we're here for the main course, man. And that is redraft draft season. And on today's episode, we have a 12-team PPR mock draft. We want to give you a strategy here from the 6th and 7th pick in these drafts. We're going to be going back to back. I think it's going to be fun. Keegan's going to be drafting from the 6. I'm going to be drafting from the 7. We want to give you these strategies because we don't want you guys to lose. You guys are watching this channel. We want you to be your idiot friends. We want to take down your coworkers. And you know what? Hey, maybe you're playing a league with your mom, but it doesn't mean she needs to win. You need to win that one, all right? It doesn't matter. Family, friend, or foe, we want you in any league that you're in, unless you're playing against me. That full stop. But most of you aren't, okay? So on today's episode, 12-team PPR mock draft. Keegan's drafting from the 6. I'm drafting from the 7. This is going to be a little bit different. We aren't going to do kickers and defense, but those are the last 2 picks in a draft anyways, in our opinion, unless you're following Ben Kirk over at Sleeper. Draft your kickers and defense
Draft your kickers and defense early, I guess. Yeah.
Look, hey, more power to you if you want to take Justin Tucker. Oh my God.
Justin Tucker.
I think I just combined it, Tucker and Butker together. If you want to take either of those guys in the 9th, more power to you. But that's not the strategy that we're going to be deploying here on this mock draft. Keegan, before we do that, though, we are a relatively new YouTube channel podcast. We've been doing this for like 2 years now, Keegan? When I hit you up to say let's do a podcast.
2 years since you asked me if I want to come on and do a week 1 waiver wire episode, because you had got the idea to start a fantasy football podcast, and week 1 waiver wire turned into 3 recordings a week previews, Sunday recaps, waiver wire episodes. A year later, we started the YouTube channel, and now we're here. So what do we want the people who are listening to do, Shaun?
Yeah, I mean, if you just found us because YouTube, shout out YouTube, suggested our video and you like this content, subscribe. We'd love to do this beyond more than just a part-time thing. We all have full-time jobs. The only way we can do that is with the support of all of you, the Mean Team. We appreciate it. So if you're not subscribing to this channel, this is your first time or your multiple times you've been back to watch us, it would mean a lot to support us. That's what you could do. Hit that subscribe button. I'm getting good at pandering. I think I could like run a political campaign at this point and get donations for certain candidates. I think I'm getting really good at just asking people like, hey, subscribe.
The pandering is improving, and you know what? We're accumulating viewers from all types of football content as well too. We're seeing some new people come in from redraft season. We know we still have some loyal dynasty folks from all the dynasty content. We want to let you guys know that we appreciate the input on the comments as well too. If you want to see a Superflex mock, let us know. We got a comment. We ran a Superflex mock. You want some updated stuff on Dynasty as we get into the season? Let us know in the comments. That, even if you don't want to subscribe, but if you want to comment on what other stuff you want to see, we will listen and we will make that for you. So we're open to everything, but all we do ask is that you engage with us, like the video. If you really want to come back for more, subscribe.
You know what to do. Keegan, you might be chief pandering officer after that.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. 30 seconds on the clock. PPR. You start 2 flexes in this format. I think we're going 14 rounds. You ready to do this, man?
Yep. Just wrapped up my beer so I can lock in. Let's do it.
Got the Zinnachinos in. Let's ride, boys.
the Zen flowers. Turn the. All right. Turn the bell off, Shaun, so we don't have to listen to.
Bell is off.
All right, cool. So, I think in a couple of the mock drafts, I've been tapping Brees pretty consistently here. I'm going through a lot of redrafts right now. I'm like in the middle of a slow draft. I've already completed 3 other redrafts. I'm going to go opposite of Brees here, and I'm actually going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I did pick up Chase in another league, but it scares me a little bit. Not reporting. I don't think it's a big drop-off for performance, but I think Amon-Ra is a good start here, and then I'm going to try and level that out with maybe RB in the round 2.
Love Jamar Chase, but there ain't no way if Brees is there at the 107. Running back's the most important position in fantasy football. I'm a big proponent of drafting as many receivers as possible, but Brees Hall is the RB2 in my opinion. That is an easy click for me.
I think this year is a better year than ever to start with RB, at least in the first 2 rounds.
And it's almost like you're reading my mind. I think I'm going to do it. I mean, like looking at some of these running backs here. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. I love Kyron. Big fan of Kyron. But man, Devin Achane, if you've been watching these mock drafts, I'm so Achane pilled. It's how could this go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Achane off the board.
I'm glad you left me that layup because, as I mentioned, I'm typically a 0 RB guy and I'll wait. But as I continue to do these redrafts and I continue to realize that my friends are still in RB horde mode, I'm getting boxed out of the RB position pretty frequently. And if you're watching this channel, it's highly likely you share our opinions on wide receivers. You shove them up the board. I would advise you strongly to get a very good running back in the first 2 rounds and make sure you don't get cornered out because your friends do not draft like you do. And look at that. A nice little RB run. Some targets I liked in the 3rd round, like Isaiah Pacheco off the board. And now I'm sitting here looking at some really good players in the wide receiver position. Too early to go quarterback here for me. I think it's tough. You got the Houston wide receivers here. Deebo Samuel here. I'm going to scoop up some Deebo. The Ayuk still not being a Niner yet is pretty frustrating. And Shaun, my resident Niner fan, has told me all I need to know about Deebo's year coming up. So,
I wanted him. All right. I guess I'll have to settle for Nico Collins. Oh, poor me.
It was him or Nico.
Yeah, I'll take Nico. That's an easy click for me.
Yeah, it's weird this year. I don't know. I'm just like, I've tried to gal brain so many drafts in the past couple of years as I've gotten more degenerate about fantasy, and my league mates still aren't where we are. You got to get an RB early, and you still end up with a pretty nice wide receiver room.
Let's go. Waddle and Nico. I don't even care if I already have a Dolphin. Give me all the Dolphins. I'm doing this every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Jalen Waddle, baby. That is, wow. That is a start.
Yeah, we're going to do an episode. We're going to record one after this. It's going to be my favorite picks in every round. And I will tell you that Jalen Waddle is already going to be my 3rd round favorite pick.
Spoiler.
Redraft. Spoiler alert. But it's for the people listening, so you make sure you go watch. I am going to do a similar thing here, and I'm actually going to dip into the elite wide receiver 2 pool and go with the Slim Reaper, Devonta Smith, route run aficionado here. There's a lot of good wide receiver picks in this 4th round. I like Waddle. I like Smith. I think Neighbors is such a good value that I don't think your league mates are probably caught up on. Now we're in the territory where I think I might know who Shaun wants to grab next if he's planning on maybe getting an elite onesie. But I'm going to keep going in on the wide receiver position because I'm pretty happy with where I'm at running back with Kyron to start. Man, I wish Aiden was here so I could hear Kieran one time. Now I'm going to pick a player that I think I'm just a fan. Zay Flowers, I'm just a fan. I don't know what it is. The wiggle, the way he moves, it's different.
This is tough. This is tough here. It's either a quarterback or
which quarterback,
receiver.
Shaun?
I did just see him throw a pick 6, but he did just start 7 of 8 on the opening drive beforehand.
Yeah, the touchdown with A.D. Mitchell.
Richardson and Achane on the same team. What
could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Wow, that is an electric starting 5, though. That's pretty sweet. Back to receiver here. Don't need a running back. Oh, stop it.
Just take him.
If he's going to be in the 6th round, if like your league mates are serious about drafting off of sleeper ADP, and this guy doesn't land in the first 4 or 5 rounds, like if Rashee Rice is in the 5th, or I should even take him in the 5th over A-Rich and scrolled the F down. But yeah, Rashee Rice here in the 6th. I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
My favorite RB target, maybe another spoiler, in this round is officially off the board as well. So I'm just going to go back into the wide receiver pool because you got to start 2 wide receivers. You can start 2 flex. Puts me in a really good spot for my starting lineup. And I'm going to add to the wide receiver pool. And this is going to be my first rookie pick. I think the rookie upside with wide receivers is so fantastic. And the offensive environment that Rome Odunze is going to be in is going to be awesome this year.
That's going to be a kind of a stash. I think he starts out a little slow, but I think
Of course,
league
but
winner.
I've already got my 4 starting wide receivers, and I don't care who's like, you need to fill out your bench first. Man, I'm presented with a very interesting opportunity here to do it again with another upside wide receiver here who's a rookie, and I might just have to do it again. How do you not want the fastest guy in the league who's attached to Patrick Mahomes? I might have to go Xavier Myworthy.
What? Oh my goodness. You have so many receivers. This is insane. This is like almost panic pick time always for me around this time. I got to scroll down. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna take the Chief. I think David Njoku is a stud. Give me a Njoku. This is why waiting on Richardson though. I could have had like Love or Prescott and could have taken another stud receiver, but I love David Njoku. That guy's so slept on as a talent. Such a good player.
He was like tight end 1 from what was the week on, like week 8 and on.
We are praying for Jameis Winston if if we really are betting on the Browns here. Okay, so I have got 20 seconds to make a pick here. What are we looking at? Running backs. I think I can scoop up a running back on the way back. Oh no. I'm gonna take John Brooks. This is a dangerous one. He's gonna start the year on PUP. But man, like this is a guy at the end of the year, Dave Canales' offense that could really do something. Give me John Brooks.
I've officially cornered myself out of the running back market after I had mentioned that's not what I want to do. I've done it again. Just the way the picks were flying off the board. Would have loved Monty where I took Rome. Pollard would have been a target where I took Worthy. I think I'm just going to lock up the tight end position and go with the number 2 pass catcher in Dallas. I think Jake Ferguson's a fine 8th, 9th round pick in your redrafts. He's not the elite tight end profile, but what he is he's tied to one of the highest scoring offenses, one of the most high scoring projected offenses in the NFL this year.
P-Rob. Oh.
Caleb going is a bit of a bummer, but I think I still have a good backup plan here at quarterback. And I'm going to go with some more rookie upside, but I'm just going to go with the rushing upside of Jaden Daniels here and lock myself into 7 to 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. So now I've got my onesie positions locked up. I've got some bench stashes with rookies, and I need a running back.
So this is tough for me. Do I just go set it and forget it, plug and chug wide receiver, or do I, in terms of veteran, or do I just take the upside? And I think I go with the upside. Brian Thomas is one of the more fascinating players on the board this year. He's going to get a lot of run in that offense, I think, pretty quickly. And he's slept on for sure.
I wish their bye week was a little sooner because the post-rookie bye is such a huge thing. But you know what? I don't think their wide receiver core is somebody that's going to hold Brian Thomas back. So
I agree. Okay, so 22 seconds on the board. Definitely need another receiver, another running back. Let's scroll the F down. What are the receivers talking? I'm probably going to wait. Let's get another running back in the room. Actually,
let's not get another running back in the room. How about we don't do that?
No. I'm going to take Romeo Doubs. I really like Romeo Doubs. I think he's going to have a pretty big year in year 3. I think he's always going to be on the field.
I did that in a 10th round today in a slow redraft, and I'm like, I think he's the only wide receiver in the Packers that I could project for more than like 70% snap percentage on the team. Watson and Wicks are going to rotate. Reed's got to wait for 3 wide receiver sets. I'm going to take a boring pick here, but I love the way I'm seeing the offensive line move for the Los Angeles Chargers in the preseason. I'm just going to tap Gus Edwards here for my RB2.
I thought you were going to take Chase Brown.
You know my feelings.
Is he good?
I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't.
Another interesting spot, and also one of my favorite picks kind of in later round drafts, is you're really getting an RB1 on an elite offense, and he's not exciting and he's not sexy, and his ADP is pretty buried in sleeper, so you might have to scroll and look for him, but make sure you scoop up some Rico Dowdle shares this year.
Yeah, I like that pick. Okay, so probably going to have to take another wide receiver here. I'm a big fan of Josh Palmer. Can I play the waiting game? No, I'm not going to mess around. I like Shakir. I like Mitchell. I already have rookie upside. I don't need too many rookies. I think Josh Palmer is one of my favorite wide receiver sleepers this year. The guy is going to go over 1,000 yards. Like I think I can almost set my watch to that in this offense.
Hindsight, I'm looking at round 7. I should have just done the full troll and bet against you and had Raheem Mostert in my 7th round instead of Worthy.
Dude, Mostert's still a good pick too. Like I'm not against it. Okay, so I definitely do have to pick up another running back here as kind of insurance, even though I went super elite and I'm not worried about it. And if I'm looking at these options, I'm probably reaching a little bit. But man, I like Ty Chandler.
Motherfucker.
I think he immediately has a role out of the gates with that offense.
The question is, do I get beat reporter pilled and I listen to what people are saying about snap share and rushing attempts projected for people when we're in week 2.5 of the preseason? I think my only options here at running back to at least get somebody who I know is going to touch the ball are pretty limited. So I think Tyler Algier is still a pretty safe pick at this point. He's my 4th running back. I'll live with it.
Get ready to speak 0 RB, buddy. Yeah, Tyler Algier is like the perfect 0 RB pick.
Oh, it's back to me, and I'm in a tricky spot. I like my wide receiver room. I've got 2 rookie stashed on the bench. Everybody that's in my starting lineup is a proven NFL player. I don't love my quarterback room because Jaden Daniels could get hurt. He just could be bad and go through rookie slump. So I'm going to actually lock up a second quarterback, which is something I don't normally do, but I'm going to go with a safe bet in Matthew Stafford.
Matt Staff. Okay, Staff infection. Man, Josh Downs was headed for a breakout. He was headed for a breakout. But nope. I'm taking Taysom Hill. I want Taysom on the squad.
No, I didn't know you were going to share that insight with people. I've low-key been plotting on some Taysom Hill moves.
I want Taysom Hill. He's going to have a huge role in this offense. He's basically the goal line back and plays tight end. What a weird player in like the best way possible. Would not take Jahan Dotson if someone paid me to do it. Not even if there was a fire. No thanks. Let me scroll that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the handcuff. I don't usually do this, but I think Braylon Allen has like contingency upside. Like if anything happens to Breece Hall, I think he easily is like the workhorse running back. And if I have Breece Hall, I really want to handcuff him with Braylon Allen. It's an easy pick for me.
I'm going with another handcuff who I think has goal line upside here. And this is another scroll the F down pick. But when I think of running backs, situations and rooms like tied to good offenses, if you look at the running backs that are left available, I mean, Tyrone Tracy, Elijah Mitchell, who's always hurt, Bucky Irving, Damian Pierce, Khalil Herbert, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And there's one that stands out to me, and it's Ray Davis. He's just so much bigger than James Cook, and they're going to be on a high-scoring offense because of Josh Allen. He might just get some goal line looks this year and be a very viable running back.
He looked good in the preseason. I don't want to put too much emphasis on preseason performance, but he looked exactly like the running back that he looked like in college. You know, he's 25 years old, so he's an older prospect. He's very different than like Braylon Allen, where Braylon Allen's like 21.
His frontal cortex is higher developed, so that means he can hit holes better.
Analytics, science. Okay, we're going to go our team-by-team reviews here. This draft is wrapped up. Why don't you start things off with your review? I'll go to mine and just kind of general thoughts on how the board break down afterward.
A tricky draft. I said I didn't want to get cornered out of the running back position, but I like the Amon-Ra, Kyron Williams start plus Debo. Like, I can't be mad about that. And if you look at the board, how all the wide receivers and quarterbacks went there, picking Smitty there was totally fine to me. I'm not a Kamara guy. I'm not a Cook guy this year. I thought it was too early for Walker. That's why I would have picked in the 5th. But ending up with Zay Flowers is not a problem to me. Maybe could have gone Swift there, but the way the board shook out, I like that run. Just a sprint on 5 wide receivers, Debo, Devonta, Zay Flowers, Rome Odunze, Xavier Worthy. I think Jake Ferg is going to be such a good, cheap tight end to get. I do like having an elite tight end if I can, but don't want to pay the prices for some of them. Jaden Daniels should be very fun in fantasy. It might be frustrating to watch if you're a Commanders fan. I don't know how many games are going. It's going to be great for fantasy. And then at the end of my drafts, you can see I'm making up for lost times here with Gus Edwards, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, and Ray Davis. So 2 handcuffs, potentially a starting running back for Dallas, and Gus Edwards, who is going to be in a very, very good rushing offense. So I'm not mad about it. I think this team has some juice.
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting is if you flipped ARSB for Breece Hall and then you had that same draft, like it would be pretty nasty. Like I think this whole idea of going running back is starting to get pretty
real.
Yeah. I went running back in the recent draft we had. Had to pick 8 and a 10 man. For some reason, Bijan fell, and then I had JT on the wrap. And I don't even really like those guys that much this year. Like, I'm like neutral on JT and a little bit lower on Bijan, but at the end of the day, like, having a star running back is the ultimate cheat code in fantasy football. Like, they are the league winners most of the time, based off of like ADP and just crushing expectations with points scored. So I went with the running back approach here. I went Breece Hall at the 107. He is firmly my running back too. Firmly. I think it's CMC and Breece are in their own tier. The fact that some people are going to view Bijan higher, I get it. Bijan was a really fun prospect. We loved him coming out of school. Tyler Algier is somebody that I worry about. I don't worry about Braylon Allen eating into Breece Hall too much, but it's I bought some insulation with Braylon later in the draft. Achane, probably my favorite pick in all of fantasy football this year. So I get Breece and Achane, which just kind of feels like my running back room potentially could score 60 any given week. And then my wide receivers. I feel like I just hammered value on wide receivers. And this is like why, if you've been doing best ball all summer, or if you feel really good about your ability to draft receivers, like starting running back allows you to just slam value on receivers down the board. So Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle, I feel really good about my 1-2s, my 1 and my 1-2. Anthony Richardson is like, he's my white whale. I love the man. I'm nervous about this year. I'm nervous that his price is going to go up. Hopefully he throws another pick 6 in the preseason and it pushes his price down, because him in the 7th or 6th is just too tasty in my opinion. But I'm going to pay up. I'm going to follow my heart here. Rashee Rice is my second favorite pick in all of fantasy football this year, getting him in the 6th. I think if you're in your home league, you're probably going to have to take him in the 4th or the 5th. But
so
for
you're
some
a
reason,
fan of criminals.
100%. If they're on the field, getting 38% targets from Patrick Mahomes.
Separate the art from the artist.
100%. Hey, look, I listened to a lot of Kanye West in my lifetime. Okay, moving on to the next guy here. I love the Chief, David Njoku. He's on a lot of people's stay away list. I did an episode at the end of the year for Dynasty, and I said sell him because his stats were just atrocious with Deshaun Watson. And I think his stats will be atrocious with Deshaun Watson. However, I do not think Deshaun Watson's going to play a full season. I feel really confident about that. So I think when Jameis Winston gets in there, Njoku has crazy upside. The guy went nuts with Joe Flacco. You got to love that kind of ability and athleticism at the tight end position. And then I drafted John Brooks. Throw him on that pup. He's going to be on the IR. So now you get to go, waiver wire, go pick up somebody like a dart throw. But yeah, I don't think John Brooks is going to start the year healthy. And then I just hammered 3 wide receivers that I love at the end of drafts. Brian Thomas Jr., pure upside. Romeo Doubs is going to play a ton. Could have a year 3 breakout. Josh Palmer and Romeo Doubs are very similar players where like they're tied to good quarterbacks and they're going to run a shit ton of routes. So I love both those players. I think Ty Chandler has an immediate standalone role with Aaron Jones. And then if Aaron Jones gets hurt, which he does a lot, Ty Chandler is going to have really strong weekly upside. And then, Taysom Hill, this is a pick that I'm starting to get a little bit more and more into. Dennis Allen hates all of his players except Taysom Hill. I just listened to him do an interview with Kay Adams, and he poetically waxed about Taysom Hill for like 3 minutes straight. And he was just referring to him as the running
just
back.
Don't ask him about Kendra Miller.
Don't ask him. Well, yeah. What's the meme where the Norman Rockwell painting where it's like your freedom of speech? Yeah. Kendra is in the wrong. Dennis Allen's right about Kendra Miller. I'll leave it at that. And then I don't love to do handcuffs at the end of drafts, but with Kamani Vidal, who's one of my favorite late dart throws off the board, scooped up some Braylon Allen as insurance on Breece Hall. Again, I don't love to do that, but why not get some Breece insurance? At the end of the day, you're cutting a lot of the guys on your bench anyways. But this draft, man, I wouldn't be shocked if someone loves Bijan and takes him early. I'd be pretty shocked if Jefferson goes off of the board at 2. But look, Lamb, Hill, Jefferson, Chase, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, all these guys are going to go in the first round. I don't really think it matters that much in what order you snag them. I think CD and Tyreek and Jettas are kind of in a tier of their own. But all 6 or 7 of these guys going in the first round have wide receiver 1 upside. So if you can get one of those guys, you're fine. But these running backs, like, it gets thin. I think there's a pretty big difference between Kyron Williams and Travis Etienne if they play the whole season. Don't you think so? Like,
I don't know. It's tough to say. Like, Etienne's usage was so great, but I think the problem is Tank Bigsby is actually having a really good offseason, and I don't know that they want to give ETN, but it's the same thing with Kyron and bringing in Blake Corum. But I don't think it's for the same reasons. Like Blake Corum is like a breather, and I think they actually do want Tank Bigsby to take a couple drives off of ETN, whereas Corum's like, hey, we got to give Kyron a breath of air. But I think Sean McVay wants to kill Kyron Williams out of love, but he wants to kill him with hand, like with touch as much as possible. I think the drop off is right after Pacheco. Like I think Henry and Jacobs are still fine values in third round, but after Pacheco, like that's where
White, Kamara,
I'm dropping off.
Cook, Mixon. Yeah, I feel you. Like team 2 here. I would personally not take this approach. Like they have Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, Brandon Ayuk, Trey McBride. Like I love all those guys in a vacuum. But because they went so heavy wide receiver and onesies, they then hit Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson in a vacuum. Like those are all fine picks, but like the opportunity cost is brutal. Like look at this, instead of like, I wouldn't want to take Kenneth Walker because I could take Cooper, Dell, or Zay Flowers. Ramondre, you could have taken Kyler, and instead of Josh Allen, you could have taken
Laporta, Ayuk, Henry.
Yeah, it's Mike Evans, Debo, right? Like you could have just gone receiver, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Or you could have taken Josh Jacobs. Like you could have gone Debo and Jacobs or something along those lines.
You could still go 3 wide receivers there and end up with Kenneth Walker as your number 1 RB, which I'm totally fine with. And Najee at that pick, I'm fine with, but maybe not Ramondre. And you take a Worthy or an Evan Ingram or something like that. Like there's just, you have to think about what your roster is going to look like when you get through these couple of rounds, because sure, Josh Allen's going to score a lot of points, but is it going to be enough to buoy the rest of your roster holes? Are you going to get enough points per week at the wide receiver position with just Jefferson and Ayuk? Addison might have a couple game suspension. We love JSN, or at least I know I do, but it's still going to take some time to get him firmly in that wide receiver 2 role. It's risky.
Team 5 crushed. They anchor to ETN. They have CD, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell. That's nasty. Joe Burrow, I'd rather have Kyler, but whatever. Evan Ingram, pretty good tight end pick. They snagged both of the running backs in Washington, which is kind of funny, but man, I love Brian Robinson. I don't know about Trey Benson, but that's a nice fun one. Like I kind of like the way that they structured this team. Like I think that's a really good start. If you get 4 wide receivers, a running back, a quarterback, and a tight end in the first 7 rounds, that's a dream start, honestly. Like I had a similar start, but I went with 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end. That was my start because I feel kind of confident I can get wide receiver value later on. But I know this sounds like super, it's like the Drake Little Yachty meme where it's like how it's obvious. Like just fill out your starting lineup. Just fill it out. See what it's like. Take 2 running backs, take 4 wide receivers, splash dash on a quarterback and a tight end, and just kind of run with that. See how that makes you feel a little bit. Even though Keegan is just stocked at wide receiver. If any receiver gets hurt, he is chilling. He has a lot of optionality. Waiting for quarterback pays dividends. Like that's why Jaden's such a good pick, because you can take him in the 9th, 10th round and just load up a team full of just superstars at running back and tight end and wide receiver. But man, like I feel like drafting in the middle is awesome this year. Don't you think so?
It's really, really fun this year. I like the values. I don't love being on the wrap of either side sometimes. I think the wrap and redraft is fine at the 101, but really, really like being stuck right here in the middle. There's just a lot of good value of players that are going around the middle. Like, look at this, like Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle run, right? Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Anthony Richardson run. Rashi Rice, Rumba Dunze, Joe Burrow run. Evan Ingram, Xavier Worthy, David Njoku run. Like, there's just a lot of good players that are going around there based off their ADP.
It's like the second round with the receivers. Like we've said this before, one of these receivers is going to go absolutely nuclear, and some of these are just bad picks. And who's it going to be, right? Like this whole range. Tay, I mean, these guys are usually going in the first, but Tay, Harrison, Puka, London, Olave, Ayuk, Mike Evans, Debo, Nico Collins, right? I'd say that's kind of like that second tier of wide receivers that goes in the 2nd and 3rd round. There's some busts in that group. You just know there is. And I don't know who they are. And there's some absolute hits in that group. And I have a feeling Debo is one of them. But man, it's hard to say who's it going to be. Any other thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I hope this was helpful for the listeners. I hope you guys see this and go out and crush your drafts and take away some valuable insights for how to attack these 12-man redraft leagues. You have to make a stance on players in the early rounds too, but if you're in the middle, like we were, like there's players that will fall to you. Like don't force a position if you don't need to, and scoop up value where you can. That's the biggest thing with redrafts is you might have rankings that other people don't have access to. You're probably not drafting off sleeper ADP. Like have some confidence and call your shots that players will fall, because they will. It happens every redraft league. Like don't push somebody up once you get to round 4, 5, 6 and start letting the chips fall.
And just remember, there's so many receivers. Like running backs are scarce. There's a lot of wideouts. That's probably my takeaway. I'm going to be a robust boy. Like I went and got my T pills. Like I've been getting some extra testosterone. Like I've got some, I might be growing out a beard nowadays, so like it's time to draft 2 running backs, guys. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but Keegan, thank you so much for joining as always. The Mean Team, thank you for following along. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Drop in the comments below. And until next time, everybody.